This is Sports Thoughts with DB and Steve. But yeah, no. But the Super Bowl, how was that? What were your thoughts on that?
Super Bowl was crazy this year. I honestly, for the first time in a long time, I watched the Super Bowl as a true fan, not
As a team fan?
as a team fan. Yeah.
Oh God, yes, that was the best thing about that. It was all I was watching it just to enjoy the football game, not to actually root for a team to win or lose.
Exactly. It was nice not having a team where you're like, oh man, they won again, or like again TB, the Buccaneers and Kansas City. If they played again, yeah, I would definitely have a team to root for. But it was nice to
Patriots
see,
again. Patriots
yeah, exactly.
again.
But to see Matt Stafford win, Aaron Darnold, it was really nice to see those guys win because they deserved it. They've been playing in the league for so long now that it was just really nice to see them win one. And Joe Burrow's not going anywhere.
Oh no, he's definitely not going anywhere. Oh, cool little tidbit I saw on Twitter. The Rams' appearance in the Super Bowl and winning one coincide with Tom Brady.
What's up?
How so? The year they won was the year he was drafted 6th overall. And then from that date until the date he retired, because he retired before the Super Bowl, because he retired after they lost and everything else, because he retired almost 2 weeks after, so it was right before the Super Bowl. He retired and they win. They're literally their span for their Super Bowl wins is Tom Brady's career.
Yeah, Tom Brady was the curse apparently.
Yes. Once he retired, they got to win the Super Bowl.
Speaking of curses, I just saw this video not too long ago of whoever's on the cover of Madden
Gets hurt every year. Every year.
I didn't believe it until I started watching multiple of the videos. And I'm like, wow, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, and people fight to be on the cover. Figure Mahomes. Tom Brady was, but he was never by himself.
Gotcha.
It was Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. They were together last year.
Was Madden ever on the cover of Madden?
He is going to be on the cover of Madden. He is on the cover of this year's Madden.
Good. As he deserves.
As he deserves. But that's where it all comes into it. Patrick Mahomes was supposed to be the solo athlete on the front of the cover this year. And he got all butthurt, and everyone looked at him and they're like, seriously? Madden died. We're sorry. That's just the way it is. You're going to get on there again. You'll get on there. It's just not going to be this year. He passed away. That's just how it is.
With the current standings, and I think we touched upon it last time, is that we have pretty much a whole new set of younger QBs. There's one here and there that are still playing, but ultimately, you got the young ones coming in and really taking over and showing what they have.
Oh yeah, well it'll be good. But the other person on the front of the cover for Madden, well on the inside cover, Bo Jackson.
Another one well deserved.
Well, he was on the cover, I think, of one of the first ones, and that was the only player that Madden wanted to be on the cover with him if he was ever back on the cover. So his dying wish and everything else, Bo Jackson is on the inside part.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So back to the Super Bowl. What were your thoughts?
Well, I actually really enjoyed it. I didn't really enjoy how the refs didn't stay fair throughout the game. They bounced. They were calling things at the end of the game that they weren't calling at the beginning of the game. So it's not staying consistent all the way through.
Are we at that point now that referees on the field, we have enough technology that should all the calls be made upstairs rather than being on the fly by the referees? Because I mean, between the missing call from the
I
face
think
mask,
some of them can be, some of them can't be. It all just depends. Like, because some of the calls, they do try to get them fixed before everything else. They actually have that is already been implemented for the most part. Like the plays that are automatically reviewed, those are taking place and they get told right on the sidelines through their headpieces. So that's
gotta be a point that I mean, it just
yeah, but then there's got to be a
calls.
yeah, but then there's got to be a point. Then how do you train a computer or a system to identify what technically is a holding, what isn't a holding? How is it different if its hands positions are on the inside compared to the outside? It all then becomes a judgment call.
Well, I wouldn't even use a computer. I mean, you got New York and the other locations that, you know.
Yeah, but when you
watching.
can slow things down to the millisecond of something moving, you can call almost any play. A flag on the play. And that just becomes where it's overbearing, where it shouldn't be what that is. Like, you don't need a ticky-tacky kind of thing. You'd never get a game done.
Well, I do recall my father always made a point that if your team relies on the referee to make a good call, or if the referee makes a bad call and your team loses because of it, you didn't play hard enough or well enough to deserve that game. A referee should never dictate the end of a game. Yeah, it happens, but you should never rely on the referees.
God, no. You should never rely on a ref or a call to end a game. Some of the games did end in that way, where if it's a ref's call, it's a ref's opinion. But
like Dallas would be pretty upset about that statement, right?
Oh, God, yes, because they need the help. They need all the help they can get. but
the fact that all that had to do with
I apologize for that because I am a 49ers fan, and for some strange, odd reason, us and them in the 90s, we just didn't get along at all. And
and that's fine. I mean, not many people like Dallas around. I mean, it's got a huge fan base, but for some reason...
It's America's team. I don't know what to tell you.
No, but, I mean, all that Dak had to do at the end of that game was hand the ball to the ref. But no, he handed it to the center, and that cost him the game. So a lot of people are upset that, hey, it was the referees. They screwed the game. Dallas should have a chance to be in the playoffs. My thought is, I got a couple of thoughts. One, the first thought is, Dak should know better. He knows the rules. He knows the ref has to touch it.
Yep.
That's what it is. And number two, they were still quite a bit away from the end zone. I think they were beyond the 10-yard line.
Yeah.
So they had one play to get into the end zone that they may have never even gotten. So people are upset, so, well, they never had the chance. Yeah, but the fact that they couldn't pull that off, you know, with 2 minutes remaining in the game versus 10 seconds remaining in the game, you know?
Patrick Mahomes did it in 12.
Exactly.
So it becomes where if you can use your weapons and you don't, it's what makes football so interesting and so frustrating to fans that are super fans.
What's good about the refs is that they're good or bad for both teams. It's as even as it can be.
Like I said, when you're doing it, they have to be more of just consistent. Like when you're calling stuff, if you're calling it at the beginning of the game, call it throughout the game. If you're not calling it at the beginning of the game, don't start calling it at the end of the game, and only for certain sides. Like it looks bad.
Now, do you think a call at the beginning of the game is a bad call? In the beginning of the game is equivalent to a bad call at the end of the game?
Oh yeah, any bad call can make or break a game. Depending
So
on
again,
like
it goes
whatever it goes, how far it goes. Like, cause some of those bad calls, like say if it isn't what it is or it is what it is, somebody gets a huge thing and they don't catch the holding penalty, or they don't catch the face mask.
Yeah.
Like it becomes where that's human error, but that's why they have so many refs already on the field. I think there's like 6 of them.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Plus, they have the guys up on top. And those guys up on top do help them out and everything else like that, but they can't tell them whether to throw the flag or not.
Now, what do you think? I mean, football, referees in football is a huge field. You can't catch everything. I get that. Soccer is one of those ones where I don't know how they even handle soccer with the size of the field and number of umps that they have.
Yeah, but there's fewer players. There's 10 on each side for soccer?
I believe so.
10 plus goalie, so 11.
But it's the fact that, I mean, every play, they're falling down.
Yeah, but there's like 5 of them, isn't there?
On the field?
On the field? For refs, there should be. I do believe there's 5 when there's in soccer.
Handy dandy Google.
Always a plus.
Number of refs on soccer. It looks like 4 officials. In a standard professional soccer fixture, there are a total of 4 officials consisting of a head referee who judges on-the-field events, 2 assistant referees situated on either side of the touchline who mainly assess whether the ball has left the field of play and make offside calls, as well as a 4th official. So 4 referees.
4 referees, okay. So within that point, like, most can be seen because most of them keep their eyes on the ball. Most of the action is on the ball.
And what about outside of the ball?
Yeah, that's where it becomes ticky-tacky and everything else. Trust, there's penalties that are away from the play of field in football that got called and have really no effect on the actual play itself because it never went that direction, but still costs the team wherever those yards are or said be.
As you know, I mean, soccer is a fairly violent sport.
Oh, God, just...
So what happens behind the play is just as violent as what's happening on the ball.
Yep.
And you see that in a lot of sports. Football, that's self-explanatory. Football is a very violent sport. Hockey is a very violent sport. Baseball, not so much, but it does happen.
Yeah, that does.
So for hockey, I love hockey, and that is a violent sport.
Oh, hockey is definitely violent. It's violent, but they're trying to make it a lot less violent. Like, point case, like Brad Marchand suspension was held to 6 games, even after he tried to appeal it to the upper.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I mean, back in the day, and when I say back in the day, I mean I'm early 2000s, 1990s. Hockey, fights were expected. Every sport, they had goons. Goons was an official title of players.
Oh, Ashton, Daytona, Chara, Brad Marchand. Brad Marchand, he's considered a goon. What about the guy for the Capitals, Tom Wilson? He's considered another goon. But there's not as many as there used to be because they're trying to get away from that for ratings. They don't think that the fighting brings in the family ratings or shows family values, which they are trying to instill into their children.
See, I disagree with that, because if you're at a game live, and we've both been to many games, there's 2 things that fans cheer for. 1, obviously, a home goal.
Oh, yeah.
And then 2, a fight.
Yeah, people love the fights.
they almost love it more than an actual goal.
Oh yeah, well that for sure. Like PJ Stocks back in the day, like when he played for the Wolfpack. Like I remember watching him. Like I remember watching him get into fights, bowing to crowds. That was the best thing in the world. Just watching him get into 3 fights and watching the third fight have to leave because he's got only 2 minutes left in the game and there's nothing he's coming back to. He can't touch the ice again. Back to the locker room. Bye.
And people did that for fun, like to get their team riled up,
to get their team going. That was the whole reason to doing it. Oh, we're down a shot. We need something to, like, our team seems flat. We've been 1-0. We need to get going. Start something, and they start something. But those fights, they all talk to each other.
Oh yeah,
they all talk to each other. They know it's coming. It's not like they're getting jumped. They know that there's gloves dropping in front of them, and they're about to take a couple swings at each other. They know it.
One of my absolute favorite is when it's first period, the game hasn't even begun yet,
they drop it at the puck.
Everybody, all 3. You don't see it often, especially now anymore. But when you see that entire line, I mean, that sets the precedence for the entire game.
Oh, God,
people
yes.
The crowd know that that's going to be a feisty game. People at home are like, yes, this is going to be a good game watching.
It usually only happens with rival teams. And, like, I've seen it happen a couple times. But, again, I've watched Zdeno Chara back away from people and be like, shake his head and be like, really? No, you don't really want to fight me.
Well, he's also 7 foot tall. Yeah.
With skates. He's 6 foot like 10, 6 foot 11, something like that. But he's like 7 foot with skates. Like he's an absolute beast. Like, but still, like the fact that people still went up to him and he was considered a goon. He was an enforcer up until he got older, and even when he was older, he could still enforce. He just didn't want to. He's like, I'm gonna get in trouble for fighting.
Well, that's one of the few reasons why PJ Stock didn't make it. I mean, he was feisty. He was a great go-getter, but he was like 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah, average height I think is what, 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah, and when you're going up against Chara, when you're at 5'11", you're not winning. Your arms aren't long enough to take someone like that down.
Oh,
you don't want to fight.
Oh, trust me, I understand the whole height factor being of why you stop pursuing certain things. All right, 5'8" and nothing else but that. All right, I had to stop playing sports. Like, I'm not big. I'm a small dude.
But you got, I mean, I don't know. To me, it's my personal opinion that I thought that the idea that Gary Bettman is trying to get fights out of the sport is actually ruining the sport. And when I say ruining, it's not so much that's ruining. Player safety is important.
Oh,
I get
yeah.
it. Nobody wants to get concussed. But the amount of times that players actually get KO'd or actually injured from a brawl or a fight is rare in hockey.
They break it up so quick nowadays. As soon as you fall, you know the fight's over. You're never really getting punched out once you're on the ground. They usually stop the fight. By the time
you... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
And when you actually hear, they always have mics on the players now for the game, which is fun. And they're talking to each other. A guy gets punched. It's like, man, nice hit. They're laughing about it.
Oh, yeah, that's the way it is. Like, it's so much easier going nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, they try to be all... They're friends. They're all friends. And they know each other a lot better. But again, they ask each other, are you sure you want to do this? Is this what you want to do? Are you sure you want to get into a fight? Because we don't have to.
There was one story. I absolutely love it. 2 different teams, NHL. They get 2 players get into a brawl. They're jabbing each other all game, and they just get into a brawl, full out, blood everywhere from the fight. It's amazing. They kept getting up. The referees couldn't get in between them because they kept going at it.
Yeah.
Wow, these guys must hate each other. They just it's insane. Come to find out, one guy was the other guy's best man at his wedding.
Yeah, I read that story. They were best friends, and they loved fighting each other. It was the best time.
Each other.
It was like it was kind of like just like a joke between them, and they just wanted to see how far they could go. I remember reading something about that.
I mean that's awesome. And why would you want to take that away from the game? Again, safety.
Safety. Yeah, all what it comes down to. It's all about safety and bullying. That's another thing. People are like, they associate punching, fighting with bullying, and that's what they look at it as.
They're professional athletes, and it's kind of hard to say
No.
bullying when you have sports like wrestling, UFC. Boxing, all these ones where
You beat the living snot out of each other to prove who's better.
Is that we love violence. I mean, the Roman Colosseum.
Yeah, but how often do you see those kind of things happening on regular TV?
True.
And if you take away the violence, where then it can be on regular TV, where you can promote it to the kids. Because they really don't want you promoting to those younger generations. Yes, they want you to like show them and kind of like be like, oh, this is kind of what you can do when you're like 18. So once you're 18, now that's when all the UFC starts pumping in their advertisement for those people.
My thoughts are almost every kid. That's false. Not almost every. Many kids go to sports camp. They're playing football. They're playing hockey. They're playing baseball. All these sports. I mean, you played when you were a kid. You played town league. You played high school.
Oh, everything. I played everything. I mean,
there's one sport that is really violent, and you wouldn't think so. But looking at it more, talking to people, and actually watching it, it's NASCAR.
Oh, NASCAR is so violent. The amount of rigor that you put your body through a 2.5 hour race. You were sitting inside of a vehicle pumping at 109. Figure your Daytona average speed is 185.
So what? Half a foot away from cars in all directions.
All the way up to touching.
All the way to touching.
All the way to touching, where they actually get their bumper to bumper.
And that's ridiculous. And you see people tapping each other.
Oh, yeah.
And so imagine going down the highway at, just 65, 70, and the guy behind you taps you in the back.
Oh, yeah.
How scared you must be and how much you're pissed off at the guy behind you. That's their job. Just triple the speed.
Triple the speed, but most of the time they're in communications and they know what's coming up from behind them. When they're tapping like that, they're actually trying to kind of like lock into the spot of where they're drafting it. It kind of locks the two cars into motion, where the back car is doing more of the pushing and taking less of the drag. It allows the front car to go faster.
See, I want your thoughts on something, because I never understood this. There are teammates in NASCAR.
Yep. That there are.
How do you have... What's the benefit of having teammates in a solo style sport like that?
Just what we were actually describing right there and everything else. When you're drafting and everything else, you want to hook up with your teammate, because your teammate races with you all the time through practices and all that stuff, through setting up your car, through setting up your motor and how your drivetrain and actually everything runs. So even when you're on the field, like before the actual race, when you're going around the track, your teammate's with you. So you guys actually work the track together and all that stuff. So if you're lined up together, the guy in back, he's using less gas than the guy in front, because he's taking less drag from the wind in the back. So he's actually able to go faster to push the guy in front. So the guy in front then therefore goes faster without using as much of gas.
Is it one of those things where if the guy in back, whoever's in back is going to take control of it, or do you think that they set up before the race, hey, if you're behind me, get behind me,
Communication,
I got you, or vice versa?
during race. They can actually set it up with their teammates and everything else. They have different parts of their microphone and their setup where they can actually talk to the other drivers on their
At what point
team.
does it become cutthroat? Where in the race does it become cutthroat? Last lap
Oh,
only?
no. They were sort of like going over that too. Like it becomes every man for himself. You want to try to get up to the front, but while you're trying to get up to the front, even though you're helping your teammate, you're looking at the best way to try to get around your teammate. But you're not going to try to wreck your teammate just so you can win.
Yeah.
If you guys are going 1-2 and he's just got a better day, every time you come out from behind him, you're going to hit air. That's going to slow you down.
Yeah.
Unless there's a set of cars coming up from the side and you're catching them and they wind up pushing you. So you have to you stay in that draft. If you leave that draft, you have the potential of completely losing everything that you have and still not making the win. So you stay with the person behind you, in front of you. There are points where you can take a person and points where you can't take a person. Right at the beginning of a turn, you can take a person, but it all depends on if they go higher, if they go low, and what part of the track is actually the better part of the track to run on. And that all depends on the part of day it is, if it's hot out, if it's cold out, if it's rained, and vice versa. So it all depends. The track condition is key to everything.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't like NASCAR. They say, hey, it's just a left-hand turn continuously. What's fun about that? But
they have road races. I give them that. They have road races, and still, you're doing Daytona 500. That is 500 miles in a circle. Yes, you are going in a circle, but you are going 500 miles at 190 miles an hour for 2 hours.
And doing what we were just talking about, like it's not just driving; it's
coming inches. You have to come within inches of people, and it's skill beyond belief. Those guys aren't there just because they look pretty.
And it's amazing. I just learned this not too long ago either, that I didn't know. I thought that each company, whoever, Toyota, Dodge, Ford, whoever it is, could change their car however they want.
Nope.
I couldn't believe that every car is virtually identical.
Yep.
That the rules make it so almost nothing can be different.
Yep. Except for how they're tuned.
Everything is truly based on the driver, minus a tweak here and there. The driver and the pit crew.
Well, and the tuning of the motor. So if you got a guy who knows how to take that motor and squeeze the most horsepower out of that motor that they can, without actually like either boring or stroking it out and all that stuff, like they have to keep the block the same and all. But with all the tuning that you can do everything nowadays, it's definitely easier for them to like squeeze every ounce that they can.
It's incredible. And actually, today's the Daytona 500, isn't it?
It is today, and there has been a lot of crashes. I've watched quite a few of them. I haven't seen any more of them. There was still like 100 laps left when the last time I saw it.
Now, I lived in Daytona for a while when I was going to school. The school is actually legit right next to the Daytona 500 track. I actually drove past it every single day. The size of that stadium
is unbelievable.
Unbelievable. I actually got to work inside in the center portion of the track.
Yeah.
With a group from school, and we actually got to serve food to the VIPs, which is hilarious because the style of people that came to the NASCAR race as VIPs.
Oh God, unbelievable! I bet. Not the typical people you would expect.
No, and we got to serve food to not serve food, but Tony Stewart came into our tent,
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, it was really cool. We got to meet him. And for those who don't know, Tony Stewart is one of the best drivers of all time. What would you say? Up there with Richard Petty, or do you think next year down?
See, I was always a Dale Earnhardt fan.
Or Dale Earnhardt?
Like
Yeah.
it's the same. I always had fun rooting against Tony Stewart because it's my mother's driver, and it's just fun to tweak on my mother just because she's a big fan of him. I, I always pick somebody else. Like I
My
really
dad.
like Blaney. Blaney's been really good. Like since I started seeing him race and everything else, he was doing pretty good. The last time I saw, he's won the Daytona 500. He won it his rookie year. Uh,
That's impressive.
yeah, he won it with the team that's only races like 6 or 7 races throughout the year. And
So
they
those who
the
absolutely love sports, Daytona 500 is one of those events that you have to go to, much like the Indianapolis 500, much
uh,
like the Kentucky Derby. These are the events where even if you don't like the sport, you
you
have to
got to
go.
go. Oh yeah, it's because they have such iconic venues, and that's the whole part about it. Those venues are always the same. They don't change. They don't they are nowhere else. You can only go to see it in one place. Unlike how you have the Super Bowls, World Series, basketball, hockey, they change venues. So you never can be like, oh, I'm going to go to the Stanley Cup next year. Okay, it's in Western Canada.
Good luck.
Never mind. I am not going to Alberta. My bad. So yeah, it's a lot different. Like when you've got those iconic venues that you're going for more than just the race. You're going there for more than just the actual event. Like you're going there for the atmosphere. You're going there for the actual experience of the whole thing instead of just what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know it's almost impossible to get there, but if you have a chance to go to the Masters and get a grilled cheese at the Masters, uh, I mean, it might sound silly, but that is iconic. That is the
I,
place to be.
I bet you if I tried really hard, I could find a way to get to them. I know people.
It's a date.
I know people. I know if I tried hard enough, I could probably find a way to get into it.
Augusta, yeah, insane. And
Augusta, Texas, right? You're the Masters down there, right?
not in Texas. It's I'm not sure where the Masters are. Handy dandy, and a lot of people
Google.
are upset with us right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, oh yeah. Because like, how do you not know? The Masters is.
No, it's California.
Is it Kelly?
I think so. I'm
Augusta National Golf Club. It's Augusta, Georgia.
Augusta,
Sure
Georgia.
number. Yeah,
Okay, but
Georgia.
okay, so you have Georgia. So the Masters in general. But yeah, if I think, and Sean lives down close to there. I bet you if I tried really hard, I bet you I could find a way to get to the Masters
The
through
whole point
some way,
is that
through somehow.
these are the places. These are the iconic places that any sports fan, or even not a sports fan, I guarantee that I have family members who don't watch sports at all. That if they went to the event, they would have a fantastic time, or they could say that, hey, I was there.
I was there at least. That's the whole fun thing about doing events and doing things. It's what I enjoyed about sporting events because you have to. You're there for the atmosphere. You're there for the time.
Now, you lived in Arizona for a while, right?
Yes.
So in Arizona, I know just recently, there's a golf course, and I'm not sure where it is, but I believe it's on the 16th hole. The hole is surrounded by a stadium, which is one of the only places in the U.S. where there's actual stands for people to watch.
It's either Scottsdale
Or Phoenix,
or
right?
Phoenix.
Yeah.
I do believe. I don't think there's another one unless it's further south, and that's down Tucson.
But it was amazing because if you get a hole-in-one on the 16th hole in the stadium, they do a beer bath.
A beer bath?
A beer bath. So this golfer just recently got a hole-in-one, and you just see the crowd go nuts, and not just nuts, but you see beer cans flying onto the greens. You see just spray of liquid just flying all over the place. It was amazing. Now, when I think of golf, I think of it's very quiet, and if you get a golf clap, if you get a good shot.
I kind of like Happy Gilmore style.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, it just craziness. It almost looks like a Daytona 500 crowd, but at a golf course.
Yeah, like I said, I think that would make golf interesting. Make it like Happy Gilmore. Make it all like kind of obnoxious. Like let the fans be there. Yeah, you gotta concentrate. All right, there is nobody coming at you. You are hitting a golf ball. If people yelling and screaming behind your head is ruining your concentration, so be it. Suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah,
come on.
Hit it. That will make it even more impressive when you hit a 300-yard drive dead on the green. When you have some schmuck behind you.
Being a dickhead.
Being
a dickhead. We understand it. It's being a dickhead and being an asshole. Like, we understand that. Like, and golf is for those prim and proper people. It's probably why I was never a big golf fan. Like, I always told my golf friends, they're like, you don't play golf? I'm like, did you find the golf ball? They're like, yeah. I'm like, guess what? You won.
Some craziness of crowds. Yeah, a Happy Gilmore style of golf, or the 16th at Phoenix or Scottsdale, wherever it was, that'd be a lot of fun. Another sport that you never hear people cheering is bowling. I want to see a crowd at a bowling match go nuts.
But it's kind of weird because for the most part, bowling, they don't really have that big of crowds at bowling venues because there's not many places where opponents could actually sit and enjoy it. You are literally looking at the backside of the guy throwing the ball down the lane. They're not set up very well for viewership per se.
So can I bring up a touchy subject?
Okay. Touchy.
Bowling, pool, darts. Would you consider these sports?
Sports? Well, they are technically they are sports. They take skill, just like taking a gun and shooting it down range. A dart is just kind of the same thing. You're really trying to hit that bullseye, or being able to hit those certain little spots for those games that they do play with them. And they actually have leagues where they play against each other, and you have to go up point wise. And to get in, you have to hit a triple. To get out, you have to double. So, or you have to bullseye out, and then you have to get all the numbers between 11 and 20 on the board. So once you get all those, then you actually have to hit the bullseye, but you're supposed to go all the way around. That's technically how that sport works. Same thing with pool, because depending on what you're playing, because pool you have 9-ball, you have regular 8-ball,
yep.
And then there's another one, but I don't
There's
remember.
the speed.
Speed?
The speed ball.
I don't know.
Where they try to go as quick as possible to hit a time.
Ah, wow. No, I never played that.
It's impressive. And don't get me wrong, to anyone listening, the amount of skill that these professionals have in any of these sports, darts, bowling, pool, it's insane, and I'm not taking anything away with it. But at what level does it constitute a professional athlete? Because chess,
you get paid. And you do get paid with chess too, depending on what leagues you are in and how far along you are with it. When you are doing grandmaster chess matches and everything else, there are prizes at the end of that. Same thing when you're doing poker. There are prizes after so far up. So you are. But poker's more gambling on yourself.
Yes, and I almost disagree with that, because on ESPN, the Ocho, and I'm dead serious. I saw this. My brother and I were watching this. They had the World Series of rock, paper, scissors.
Wow, they do anything nowadays.
And the winner actually got money, and they asked the person at the end, is like, what was their strategy? And the person who won was like, I knew ahead of time what they were going to play just by the motions of their body.
Yep, being able to read a person.
And if that's true, massive amount of skill. Massive.
Oh, yeah.
I don't take anything away from that. But again, you're not seeing that in the Olympics. You're not seeing pool in the Olympics. You're not seeing bowling in the Olympics.
Oh, no. Do you consider it if it's just a hobby or a sport and everything else?
Yeah.
It's just skill level and all that stuff. You get paid professionally, so it's professional bowling, professional pool. So if you are getting paid to actually do the sport, it's a profession. Just like football, it's a profession. All those NFL athletes, it's profession. That's what they get paid to do.
So, jumping on that, is there any sport, in your opinion, or any whatever you would like to call it, that should be in the Olympics that is not?
No, but I kind of agree with stuff that, like, some of the sports that are in it, or they would have to, like, change on how they do it. Because to get the best, say, hockey players, you can't really do it in the middle of hockey season. You can't really get the best hockey out of it because it's in the middle of the season. So you're literally ripping players that have been playing with other people, throwing them all together or into their respected countries and being like, play against each other. And they do pretty well when they let the NHL lets their players play. But when they don't let them play, look at what we had this year. Canada wasn't in the finals. The U.S. wasn't in the finals. Those are the two powerhouses. I don't even think Russia was in the finals.
It was Russia and Finland, wasn't it?
And I think Finland won.
Yep. I almost like that. And I think about it in the way of basketball. When they played basketball in the Summer Olympics, you have the dream team, virtually.
Yeah.
You have the top players, and you almost know, based on the players, who's going to win ahead of time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's almost no doubt. By having amateurs play, kind of going back to the 1980s of Miracle on Ice, it makes the dream for these kids. I mean, LeBron
Well, it
James,
makes the dreams for these kids, but then you have to think back of how many things you have to change. Because Jim Thorpe got stripped of a lot of golds because he was considered a pro athlete.
Correct.
And he got stripped of his gold medals. They were never given back to him. All of his stuff that he got for the Olympics were stripped from him because he was considered a pro athlete. Because at the time, pro athletes weren't allowed to be part of the Olympics. And I say give him back his stuff. Give him back his gold. Like, I know, I do believe he's dead now, but reinstate that his gold medals were his. They weren't taken away from him. Because you do allow pro athletes now into the Olympics. It gives for better show. Those are the best of the best. You are watching the Olympics. Do you want the second-rate guys playing, or do you want the first-rate guys playing to represent your country? So it's a toss-up. But again, when it all comes down to it, that's what people want to see. For the masses, for the most part, they want to see the best versus the best. They don't want to see second versus second. They want to see the best of the best. And when you're talking Olympics is about being the best.
So is it about showing business, or is it about giving opportunities to the non-professionals?
There's plenty of opportunities for the non-professionals that they don't have the older generations, because the younger generations are stronger, faster, more limber, more able to do it. Look at snowboarding. Look at any of the high speed, high impact, anything like that. You're not getting people in there older than 34 on the most part. Okay, Shaun White, yeah. And how well did he do this year?
Pretty well.
He got 8th place. He didn't medal. He did pretty well and all that stuff. He had a good time and all. But the younger kids are the ones that are bringing in the big money because of the tricks that they're doing. And the older you get, the harder it becomes.
Yeah, so, I would definitely like to think what others think about this, because honestly, let's put NHL on the map for that. You have the best players in the league, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's Sidney Crosby.
But you have the best players in the league that are worldwide. So you are literally taking a pool from everybody else. That's which destroys like the NH for the Olympics, because you don't get the best players from any league, from any country. Because any of the good players from those countries, guess where they do?
They're playing in the NHL.
They're playing in the NHL. So, like, those guys who had no careers until they got to the NHL, who didn't play in college, who were found in NHL, like, out in Europe. Some of those guys never touch a college.
Yeah.
Like, all they do is play hockey, so you never see them. So, a lot of those kids are getting paid when they're 17, 16.
I just see it as if I wanted to see the NHL All-Stars, I'd watch the NHL All-Star game every single year versus watching the Olympics.
Yeah, but that's no fun either, because then it's just the NHL players. It's not the mix of stuff that can happen with other people. Because then you have all just the best of best all teamed up. You're taking some of the best guys from the teams and you're spreading them out throughout the world. So it kind of like evens out the whole playing field.
And I get that. And it's nice seeing a player that you like score a goal or whatnot. But again, I just go back, and I wasn't alive at the time, but the 1980s Miracle on Ice.
You're talking like I was alive, all right? I wasn't born yet. Fuck you.
You were closer than me. You were closer than me.
Yes, I was, but still, fuck you. I am not that old.
But it was pure amateurs, and that was the last time that they had amateurs on ice until just recently. I think this was the first Olympics or second Olympics that they allowed amateurs to come back.
Yeah, but for a while they didn't even have hockey in the Olympics. They took it out for a while.
Did they?
Yeah.
I don't remember a time that they took them out.
I do believe they took them out for a while. There was a period in which they weren't. It was in like the late 90s. Because they had like the Miracle on Ice team, but then they like shortly stopped it for a short while and then restarted it back up.
Interesting.
I do believe, because there was a period when they didn't have it there.
Yeah, we could definitely check on that.
Oh yeah.
But I do know there's one more topic that I want to bring up, and it's because today or this weekend was the end of the Olympics. So next time we talk, I don't want to forget about it. Doping.
Oh.
So
whether or not it makes people better, depending on what kind of drug it is, well, that all falls down into the IOC, and that's something I really don't want to tread into.
No, I agree with that. But when it comes to in general of doping, Camila Valieva,
Yeah,
that's where,
the figure skater, the 15-year-old.
yeah, 15 years old, and
She didn't even win though.
She didn't win, but she was caught doping on trimetazidine, which is a heart medication. If you have a weak heart, it helps the heart.
Yeah.
And it is illegal. I get it. That's the rules. I'm, whatever the rules are, I agree. That should end it right there. I'm full for that. But my thought is this poor girl, 15 years old, was given this drug, whatever it may be, and it's for a weak heart.
Yep.
It's not a energy booster. It's not anything, especially in figure skating. It's not like it's weightlifting where you're taking steroids and it actually gives you additional muscles.
Yeah, well, that's where they're following the letter of the law, where it's like it's considered a banned substance. So therefore, since it is a banned substance, she should be banned. And that's why she got suspension, but that's why they kind of like overturned it, but now they can go back and re-overturn that decision and then strip away her standings in general and put her all the way at the end. DQ.
But do you think something like this is taking away from the games itself?
Oh, stuff like that is all the time. It's taken away from the games, but they're always going to try to be the best. Okay, because again, that's what the Olympics is. It's all about, are you the best? Who's taking home the most medals? And people who are taking home the most medals, is the most medals you taking home, or are you taking the most gold medals home? Because they come
surprisingly this year is Norway. So congratulations to Norway.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a different person than your typical China, U.S., England, Russia, Canada for the for the Winter Olympics, because Canada is ridiculous for the Winter Olympics. They are really good. They got Winter Olympics sports like knocked down to a T. They live in the cold north.
Was up there. Sweden was up there. So it's the typical
Norwegian areas, the places that have a lot of snow.
Small details.
It's small details.
But it was. I found it funny. In this, the reason why I brought the doping up, and we don't have to get into it too much.
Oh, for the Major League Baseball stuff, like how players get all butthurt about the steroids and everything else. You have the purists, you have the non-purists, and everything else. Put them into the Hall of Fame. Don't put them into the Hall of Fame. Vote them in. They can't get voted in. They have 10 years to get in. Oh, wait a minute, they didn't get in 10 years. Oh, this other committee can bring them in afterwards. So don't worry about that. That's a lot of bureaucracy.
One of my favorites was actually back to the Olympics. Was I think it was 4 years ago or 8 years ago. It all melts. Time flies. Is that they had a snowboarder eliminated and for smoking pot. So they found pot in their system and disqualified them. In my thought, and I know at that time, a legal substance by the law.
Oh, fair.
But it's not helping you.
No, it's definitely not. It's definitely not helping.
The gold medalists, they won gold, and they were disqualified because they had pot. And the IOC and a lot of people were saying, well, this is a enhancement drug.
Where does it enhance?
And that's where I get questionable. Because again, I'm full for the law. I'm just make sure that the law actually makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, I 100% agree. Don't Don't get me wrong on that. I definitely 100% agree with that. But that's just the way it is, unfortunately. Like, yeah. And again, but that's why most of Russia's skating team is never gonna skate again. You figure the girl who won second place in the women's final and everything else, she's vowed to never skate again.
But why? And
because the coach is absolutely a beast. Like, the coach makes it no fun. She lost all for, like, when the 15-year-old came off, like, after she had fallen, the coach was literally sitting there yelling at her in Russian, "Why didn't you try harder?" Like, the kid just fell. 15 years old. 15. It's a lot of pressure you're putting onto him. Literally, at the end.
I may get negative thoughts on this, but you are at the Olympics. You're not at a regional. You're not at a internal. Now, should they be yelling at a 15-year-old? Absolutely not. They're trying their best. They're doing phenomenal. I mean, the fact that these women are going out there and doing what they are doing. I believe the second place person had a quadruple jump 3 times in their act, which is the first time ever in the Winter Olympics, and they got second. The fact that you have someone screaming at them that they didn't do
good
better,
enough. Yeah.
All right, screw that. But saying that they're coming off the ice and you have a coach, if they do fall or they make a simple mistake, you're in the Olympics. You're at the highest level that you could possibly go in your field.
Oh, yeah, but you already know you're going to lose. So by that point, like, why didn't you try harder and all that stuff, like, it becomes pointless because you already know, like, once you have that one fall, especially as a skater, you already know it. You're done. You're done. You're done. You have to be flawless. So once you are not flawless, your mind goes into relax. So you're not going to try harder because your mind's already there. You can't make up that fall.
Yeah, saying to do better is worthless.
Yeah.
But I mean, people go back to, and it's professional sports, but people go back to Bill Belichick stating that they don't enjoy playing with him, or him, I should say, because he's a
perfectionist.
He's a perfectionist. And so my thought is, you're making money to go play a sport. I have no problem with that style. I mean, that's your job.
You're getting paid.
Olympic, you're not getting paid, so I understand it. But we don't know if they get paid. If this 15-year-old or 17-year-old goes back to Russia and they get paid to do what they do, we don't know that.
Yeah.
And if they do, maybe the coach is in the right. If they don't, then in the wrong.
Yeah, and well, most of those other sports, like, there is no real monetary value to it until you get out of being an Olympian to being a pro, to where you're able to go out and travel around and not worry about what your score is going to be because you're just entertaining.
Yeah.
It becomes a little bit different, I guess, per se. Where pro is more of like, that is what you're getting paid to do, not always what you enjoy to do.
And I guess that comes back down to is what is considered a professional sport versus what is not.
What is not, but you got ping pong. There's professional ping pong. I almost guarantee that.
Oh, there is. But that's, again, we don't see it too much in the U.S., but in Europe, same thing with cricket. We don't see cricket in the U.S., but
that's
the world's largest sporting event, if I recall.
I think soccer is or football.
Soccer, and then cricket's close.
Cricket's close, but I do believe it is football. And not American football. I am talking European football. And I understand it is called football. I will not call it soccer. It's one of those like faux pas things. I understand.
What's the sport with you're on horses and you're hitting a ball?
That is.
Yeah, it'll come to us.
Yeah, I know
Again,
it will
a lot
come
of
to
upset
us.
people that we don't know this, but
Yeah, that was a lot harder though. That one, it's. Oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue. I want to say it starts with a C.
But it's that's much more of a European.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a more
Non-American.
European thing.
So, I mean, there's a lot of professional sports out there, and we're limited in the U.S. at least to what we know, obviously.
Oh yeah, well, you have in the U.S. it's not very big, but highlight.
Highlight is huge across the seas. And if you can imagine, the Norwegian, the Switzerland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, I mean, skiing, any of those, snowboarding.
Oh yeah, you have the ice luge.
Yeah, luge, skeleton, all those. I mean, those are professional sports in those areas.
Oh yeah,
because that's what they have.
Well, a bunch of snow. What are you gonna do with ice? Well, might as well get paid to use it.
Absolutely.
And it's free. It's cheap. It's cold. We just gotta have water.
There, I actually found it interesting in Beijing. I believe I read it was like 900 million cubic meters of snow had to be created for the Olympics.
Yep.
Million.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
With all the jumps, with all the venues, figure there was 150. They said 150 miles worth of Olympic area, and like in the map area for Beijing, because it was in all the areas. There was something like 12 different venues. It was insane. It's big.
It is, and I do have to say, with the Olympics over, there was so much of the Olympics we didn't get into during this chat.
Oh yeah, well, there's a lot to hard. It's hard to cover everything with the Olympics, even with the Winter Olympics and the Summer Olympics. It's so hard. It's what makes trying to move. Why they want to try to move hockey into the Summer Olympics, so you can have that like all out kind of thing. But there's just so many sports that are out there.
Yeah, and we're just touching on the main ones at this point. As you said, you get into highlight.
Oh yeah.
You get into cricket, which again isn't small, but here it is. You get into some of the smaller sports. I mean, there's so much to talk about.
You have the cross country.
Skill.
You have that ski and shoot one they do. The cross country with the gun, the biathlon.
Biathlon.
All right, like that's in itself is grueling. Like how long you actually have to ski for, and then you have to still shoot accurately, and you only get 5 shots.
You have the moguls.
Yep, where you got moguls. That. Oh yeah.
I mean, it's so many impressive people in this world. The Olympics definitely show it. It's amazing. I can't even fathom. I really can't.
Well, that's why we get to be like, I know I'm not the best in the world, but it's fun to watch the best in the world.
Absolutely. But with that, I think that's about our time.
Yeah, that's...
And we have plenty more to go through.
Oh, God, there's so much sports that we have to hit up and everything else. We still got to look into the drone flying, the first-person drone flying. Get into that a little bit. And I still got to talk to Ed, try to get Ed to come on. We'll do wrestling.
Yep.
Within the next couple episodes. But we'll definitely see what's going on.
And we will definitely have to get into an ESPN Ocho style cornhole. There is professional cornhole. There's professional. You name it, they got it.
Oh, they've got pro sports for everything. Like, they can make a sport out of anything. All right.
So,
There's pro beer pong. All right. I've seen pro beer pong. All right. I've seen it all. They use water cups and all. But Perfect. It's pro beer pong.
Well, we got a lot to talk about, so thank you all for listening. We appreciate it. Until next one.
Peace out.